Okay, here's my first attempt. Recording me going through a particular bit of Latin with my screen capture on so that I can record it for to go over the problem spots and things like that. So here we are, we're looking at Aquinas, question 76, article 1, the first half of the Respondeo. So I'll just go through the bit that we have here. I believe it's about 42 lines, and we'll see what's up. Actually, let me grab the notes. That'll help me remember what I thought was important then, at least to bring up. Okay. Respondeo decendum quod necessa est dicere quod intellectus, etc., etc. First things is Respondeo decendum quod. This is how all the Respondeos begin. Respondeo, of course, I respond, I answer. Decendum. So this is a gerund. A gerund is a noun based on, from a verb, a verbal noun. And it's used to signify the act of verbing, whatever the verb is. Here it's speaking. So decendum is the act of speaking. And when you respond, when you speak in Latin, you always speak something. Something in the accusative. So what he's saying here is, I respond a speaking. I am saying, as opposed to like I respond to words, I say words. It's I say a speaking. Namely, so I respond a speaking, which is necessa est dicere. It is necessary to say that. So all of this here is a very formal introduction. I respond a speaking that it is necessary to say that, and then we get, the intellect, which is the principle of the intellectual operation, is the form of the human body. So don't get super thrown off by this. It's basically saying, I say that, we must say that, etc. You can even say, really, this is just the introduction. Here's, from here on is where the question really starts, or the response really starts. Sit mani corpus formam. Illud annum, quoquam aliquid operator est. I don't know if anything really so far is too difficult here. The biggest thing, sit, the reason it's in subjunctive, he's going to do this a lot, it's in reported speech. So he's saying it's necessary to say that it be. So it's just sort of removing it from reality. He's not saying in the sense that it is, he's just saying that to say that it would be, etc., is necessary. That's just a quirk of Latin. You throw sort of subordinate clauses within subordinate clauses get put into the subjunctive. Est forma eius cui operator attribuiter. It is the form of that to which the operation is attributed. So, eius cui. You're going to see a form of is, ea, id followed by the relative clause. That happens. It basically means all of that is one noun. That to which the operation is attributed. Quo primo. I have a note here, ablative of means, or quo primo, ablative of means. I think it's the same here. Just as by this first thing, or by this thing primarily, the body is healed. Et quo primo scit anima est scientia, unde sanitas est forma corporis et scientia animae. Quod est actu. It's a good thing to keep in mind. That is, in a sense, think of that as one noun. That which is in act. That which is in act. So, the actual. Aliquid est actu. Anything that is in act. Something in act. Ao. Good to remember. Ao here is the ablative neuter singular of is, ea, it. Manifestum est autem quod primum, quo corpus vivit est anima. Again, here's that quod primum. That by which primarily, or that manifestum est autem quod primum, quo, yeah. It is manifest, however, that primarily, the primary thing by which the body lives is the soul. Things like that. Et cum vita manifestetur secundum diversas operationes in diversis gradibus viventium, id quo primo operamur unum quodque horum operum vitae est anima. We do everything of the operation of this operation of life, this act of life. Unum quodque, beautiful word. One which, and yeah, each and every, something like that. Anima, annum est primum. So the soul's first thing by which nutrimur et sentimus et movemur secundum locum et similiter quo primo, by which primarily intelligimus. Hoc ergo principium quo primo intelligimus sive decactur intellectus, sive anima intellectiva, you can call it either one, est forma corporis. Et haec est demonstratio Aristotelis in secundo de anima, in the second book of On the Soul. Si quis, this is another, so what you expect here is si aliquis. And in your notes, you'll see it says, after si, nisi, numen, ne, all the ollies drop away. So what that means is when you have a word like if, or unless, or in order that not, one of those words, si, nisi, numen, ne, aliquis, aliquid, aliqui, all those things, you lose the ollie. So this means if anyone, it looks like it says if who, but it's if anyone, aliquis, however, should want, that's from volo, if anyone should want to say, and then you're going to see a lot of this indirect speech, should want to say animam non esse formam. Notice how it's accusative verb. Here's the subject, that the intellectual soul is not the form of the body. Whenever you have a word like saying or feeling or proposing, things like that, you're going to get this indirect speech to say that the soul not be something like that. Oportet quod inveniat modum, quo iste actio, quae sunt intelligere, sit huius hominis actio. Oportet quod, and then a subjunctive. It is necessary that he find. He might not find, but it would be necessary that he would find. So that's why that's subjunctive. Modum, by which, iste actio, that action. And iste here carries the connotation of that action of yours, that action of his. It's her distances it from the speaker. Quae sunt intelligere, it's just renaming. That action, which is to say understanding, is an action huius hominis, not just of any man, but of this man. You know, pick random specific man, he's going to pick Socrates and say, how do you, what's necessary is that he has to find a way by which to say that the action of understanding is the action of this particular person, and not just the action of humanity in general. Expeditur annum unusque, se ipsum esse qui intelligit. That one's fairly straightforward. Se ipsum, he himself. Attribuitur autem aliqua actio aliqui tripliciter. This one's a little weirder, and I don't like where it falls on the page break. Attribuitur aliqua actio. Aliqua is going to get used in medieval Latin to be about the closest thing they have to like a or an, that sort of indefinite article. So aliqua actio is an action. I think it's translated usually some action or any action, just an action, some action. Attribuitur aliqui, to somebody, tripliciter. So there's a few notes on this form. This iter ending turns third declension adjectives into adverbs. So it's not triplex, which means threefold. It's tripliciter, threefoldly, or in three ways, something like that. Just like patet per philosophum, ecclesiastical, quique physici. Dicitur enim movere aliquid. Again, here's the subject of movere. Dicitur enim movere aliquid. It is said that some accusative does some infinitive. Aut agere, so movere aut agere, he's saying move, act, mean the same thing here. Vel, out, out. There's our three. So he just said it can be done tripliciter. Here's your three. Secundum se totum, secundum partem, per accidens. Those are your three options. And he'll give you a little example. That's an example of someone doing something se totum, secundum partem, and per accidens. Interesting. Album, keep in mind the neuter singular of an adjective, if there's no noun for it to modify, it can just mean a blank thing. So album here is a white thing. It's not whiteness, and it's not a white, I don't know, again, we don't have a noun here, and so if it's neuter, we assume thing. If it were masculine, we'd assume man. If it were feminine, we'd assume woman. Cum igitur dicimus Socratem aut Platonem intelligere, again, same thing, accusative, infinitive. Manifestum est, quod non attribuitur ei per accidens. So non per accidens. He's saying, okay, that was one of our three options. I'm saying no to that. And he's going to explain that here. Attribuitur enim ei in quantum est homo, insofar as he is a man, quod essentialiter predicator de ipso. So because he's doing it in a way that's essentialiter, then it cannot be accidens. Because you have essentia and accidens, those are sort of the diametrically opposed substance and accidents. Aut ergo oportet dicere quod Socrates intelligit. This is the other way you can do things. So you can dicimus Socratem intelligere, or you can dicere quod nominative normal verb. Totally both acceptable in medieval Latin. If you use the quod, then you just write this like it's a normal sentence. If you don't, then you have to do the accusative infinitive construction. Intelligent secundum se totum sicut Plato posuit. Plato said this, that someone understands secundum se totum, saying, and here again, dicere quod nominative, dicens accusative infinitive. Hominem esse animam intellectivam. So he's saying that this and this are the same thing. So here's our other, so because it cannot be per agidens, then it is necessary either to say all of this, or it is necessary to say all of this. So again, here is our two possibilities left over, because this one is right out, not allowed. So here's our secundum se totum, and then it's going to be our secundum partem. So Plato went with this one, because since this is not impossible, Plato went with this one, the se totum. Out, porta dicere quod intellectus sit aliqua pars Socrates, and again, that it be some part or a part. Et primum, by primum here he means the first one, so I'm going to color code these. That's the primum, what Plato said. Primum stare non potest, ut supra ostensum est. He proves this above, he says, and that's at, what line? I have it noted. Question 75, Article 4, is where he discusses this and says, it's not possible, as was shown above. Propter hoc, on account of this, and here's his reason. Quod ipse idem homo, that's a fun phrase, ipse idem homo est, qui percipit se et intelligere et sentire. So, who perceives that he himself, both this and this. Now, because this second one, sentire, non est sine corpore, which means that it est cum corpore, therefore, oportet corpus aliquam esse. Don't let that us trick you. That is our accusative, because it's neuter, accusative verb. Corpus aliquam partem. He split up the aliquam partem. Just let that, accept that. Relinquitur, nothing left to say but is how I like to translate that one. All that is left then, or it is left therefore that, intellectus quo, by means of which Socrates intelligit est aliquo par Socrates, ita, so that, ita quod, you would expect in classical ut, a result clause, ut, but we get ita quod, so that intellectus aliquo modo, not making a claim here, but just by some means, corpori Socrates uniatur. I've got a long note on there that explains, we're not at the end of the argument. We haven't said that the soul is united to the body as the form. We've just said, okay, it's got to be united to the body somehow, because you don't understand per accidens, right? So it's not an accident of the body, and you don't understand things as by means of the entirety of what you are. He's claiming things like your toes aren't part of your, whatever. Or he's also claiming that you are not simply the soul alone, and the soul is you, and the body is a totally separate thing. He's saying the soul is not part of the body, and the soul is not totally separated from the body. Therefore, our only other option is that it's united to the body aliquo modo, in some way. Buckle up. It gets really, really, really philosophical for this next part. I recommend pause the video, read through all of the notes I wrote for this part, and then come back to the video. I'll give you time. Now, hopefully you've read through all the notes, your mind is swimming. Let's dive in. Hunc autem unionem, this union that we just talked about, it needs to be united to somehow. Well, this somehow union, commentator. Here he's referring to a philosopher named Averroes, who was a Muslim philosopher, and you've got to know all about why that's a real fun thing for him to do right about now in the 1200s. The commentator, he's called the commentator because he wrote a bunch of commentaries on Aristotle. It's those commentaries that he wrote that Dominicans in Spain got a hold of and translated into Latin and spread throughout the Dominican order. That's how Albert the Great gets his hands on this Aristotle and then shows it to his bright young student Thomas. That's how Thomas gets a hold of Aristotle. It's through his associations with the Dominican order. If he had not been a Dominican, it's very likely he would not have had the same sort of access to Aristotle that he enjoyed in the order. And the order was allowed to do things like this because the Dominican order enjoys what's called, can I remember the term? Exemption, which means the bishops cannot tell the order what to do within the order. And so even if the bishop makes Aristotle contraband in his diocese, within the Dominican convent, the bishop can't do anything because the Dominican order answers to the Pope, not the local bishop. And so they could, in a sense, smuggle Aristotle from Dominican convent to Dominican convent among the brethren freely. There was nothing the bishops could do about it, and so Aristotle spreads through the Dominican order, and in other ways, but especially through the Dominican order. Anyway, this commentator, this Averroes, says that accusative, this union, esse is per speciem intelligibilem, the intelligible species. I'm going to keep calling it the intelligible species because that is the technical term for it. You can think of it as like mental image, something like that. There's a whole note about it. Hopefully you're understanding that. Anyway, he's saying it's happening through this intelligible species, which is to say, he's saying it doesn't happen by the nature of the soul and the body. The body and the soul are not by nature united. They're only united through their mutual interactions with these mental images. This is Averroes. Aquinas is going to disagree with him here in a second. Through these intelligible species, quae, quidem, indeed, habet duplex subjectum. They're going to be found in two subjects. Unum aliud. So, duplex, two different things. Unum aliud, one the other. Scilicet, beautiful word, scilicet, just means something like, but of course. One, of course, the intellectum possibilem. This is the passive intellect. I've got a whole note on it in your notes. One of the things, so these speciem intelligibilem, the intelligible species are found in the passive intellect, and ipsa phantasmata, quae sunt in organis corporeis. I don't think there's anything grammatically weird going on there, but you've got so many technical terms. Intellectum possibilem, phantasmata. And I have a little note on the phantasmata as well. Et sic per speciem intelligibilem continuatur is united, uniatur, or unitur would be a totally agreeable word, intellectus possibilis corpori huius vel Elias hominis. So, per speciem intelligibilem, continuatur intellectus possibilis. So the intellectus possibilis continuatur corpori. Which corpori? huius vel ilius omnes. So you are united to something in the dative there. Said, but, so here's what the commentator says. Here's what Averroes says. But, and here's where Aquinas begins to break it down. Iste continuatio, that union vel unio, see, continuatio vel unio. So I'm going to say union for both. But that union of his, again, he's distancing himself with the word iste. That union of his, non sufficit ad hoc. It doesn't work in this way. Quod actio intellectus sit actio Socrates. Everyone claims that Socrates is the one who understands things. So Socrates understands, right? When the intellect of Socrates understands something, we say that Socrates understands it. An act of the intellect of Socrates is also an act of Socrates. They both do it because his intellect is part of him. That's what Aquinas is claiming, and he's saying this iste continuatio non sufficit. This is where it's going to break down. Et hoc patet per similitudinem, a comparison, in sensu. Ex quo, similitudine, Aristoteles, nominative, procedet ad considerandum ea quae sunt intellectus. For the consideration, for the act of considering, here's another gerund, for the act of considering those things which sunt intellectus, are related to the intellect. Sic enim se abent, you could have said abentur, se abent and abentur, for the act of considering, to think of something to be something else. So sic enim se abent phantasmata ad intellectum. Ignore this for a second. Sicut colores ad visum. So phantasmata ad intellectum, colores ad visum. Just the same way the phantasmata are related to the intellect, the same way colors are related to vision. As Aristotle says in Book 3 of Amisel. Sicut ergo species colorum sunt in visu, ita species phantasmatum sunt in intellectu possibili. So just like this is a thing, in the same way, this is a thing. So I don't think grammatically there's too much weird going on there. Patet autem quod ex hoc. It is clear then that from this, so in conclusion, or hence, quod colores sunt in parietem. Here's a quad. This quad means the same thing as quia, because. So, quod, or quia, colores sunt in pariete, bloop, actio visus non attribuitur parieti. So, because this is a thing, this is not a thing. That's how that sentence is going. Colores quorum similitudine sunt in visu. The colors whose images are in the vision. It's just a weird sort of thing, but the quorum here is going with colores, because plural. That's how you know it's not going with the wall, which is singular. This is genitive. Enjoy its actio visus. Non attribuitur parieti. Non enim, because, enim means because. Non enim dicemus, quod paries videat, sed magis, quod videatur. So, sed magis means but rather, but in a better way. but rather, so we don't say non dicimus that the parias videat, but that they videatur. That'll be fun when you translate that. Ex hoc, ergo, hence, therefore, quod, since, because, species phantasmatum sunt in intellectu possibile, the same way that the colores sunt in pariete, the species phantasmatum sunt in intellectu possibili, non sequitur, it does not follow, very good logic language there, non sequitur quod Socrates, in quo sunt phantasmata, intelligat, sed quod ipse, vel, eius phantasmata, intelligantur. So, because the phantasmata have the same relation to the intellect as the colors do to vision, because the colors are in pariete, then we do not say that the paries videat, but that it videatur. In the same way, since the phantasmata are in intellectu possibili, it does not follow that Socrates intelligant, but that he intelligantur. You'll enjoy that, I think. I think you'll be very rewarded, I think, for hard work in parsing verbs on those sentences. Vel eius phantasmata, he's just saying, Socrates or his phantasmata, sort of interchangeable as far as this argument goes. But yeah, so that should get you through the first part of the Respondeo. Hopefully this video works and is helpful, and let me know. It didn't take a super long time to record. I think it's about half an hour long. Not too bad. Let me know in your thoughts, in your little thoughts thing. Write up something and say something like, oh, the video was delightful, or don't ever record your voice again, you sound like an idiot. Whichever one you think you should send to your teacher. All right. We'll see you later. Ciao.